You're visiting your parents or your grandparents or an old relative you haven't seen in a while. And when you walk in, something feels different. The house is quieter than you remember. The TV is on, but no one is really watching it. They look smaller somehow, not physically, but in a way you can't quite explain. And then they see you, and their whole face changes. That look, that pure, immediate joy just from seeing a familiar face, that's the moment that should stop us in our tracks. Because what that look is really saying is, I've been waiting. I've been so alone, and I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to be a burden. That moment is happening in millions of homes right now. And most of us don't know because we haven't visited in a while. This video is about that moment, about why it happens, and about what we as a society are getting deeply, dangerously wrong when it comes to caring for our elderly. We have a habit of seeing elderly people only as they are now, slow, dependent, fragile. We forget who they were. That quiet man in the corner, he built a business from nothing. He worked 6 days a week for 30 years so his children could go to school. That woman who can't remember names anymore, she raised 4 kids, cooked 3 meals a day, managed the household with almost nothing, and never once complained. These aren't just old people. These are people who carried the weight of entire families on their backs for decades. People who sacrificed their comfort, their dreams, sometimes their health for others. Age didn't make them less. It just made them more vulnerable. And vulnerability in a world that rewards strength and speed is treated like a problem to be managed, rather than a person to be loved. Let's talk about something that rarely makes the headlines, but is quietly destroying lives. Loneliness among the elderly is not just a sad feeling, it is a full medical crisis. Research has shown repeatedly that chronic loneliness is as harmful to the human body as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. It increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, cognitive decline, depression, and early death. And yet, right now, at this very moment, there are elderly people in your city, your neighborhood, maybe on your own street, who have not had a real conversation in days. Some of them haven't been touched, not even a hug, in weeks or months. Not because they chose isolation, but because everyone around them got busy, because the kids moved to another city, because the spouse passed away, because the friends they had are gone too, because the world kept moving and somehow they got left behind. This is not a personal failure. This is a social failure, a collective one, and we are all responsible for it. As people age, the physical changes are real and significant. Joints ache, vision blurs, hearing fades. Chronic illnesses, diabetes, hypertension, arthritis become everyday companions. Simple tasks like climbing stairs, opening a jar, or walking to the market become genuine challenges. But what we talk about far less is what happens to the spirit. When someone who was once capable, independent, and in control suddenly needs help with the most basic things, it is deeply humbling, sometimes humiliating. Many elderly people feel like a burden. They apologize for needing things. They say things like, "Don't worry about me," when what they mean is, "Please don't forget me." Depression in the elderly is massively underdiagnosed and undertreated. We assume sadness is just part of getting old. It isn't. It's a signal that someone is not getting the emotional support, the dignity, and the connection they need to feel like their life still has meaning and value. And that signal deserves to be heard, not dismissed. Let's talk about the systems that are supposed to protect our elderly and why in most of the world they are falling short. Social welfare for the elderly exists in many countries. Pension programs, subsidized healthcare, senior citizen cards, old age homes. On paper, it sounds like a lot. In reality, it is often too little, too late, and too hard to access. The fundamental problem is that most welfare systems are built to respond to crises, not to prevent them. An elderly person has to reach a point of serious illness, financial collapse, or complete dependency before the system steps in. And by then, so much damage has already been done, physically, emotionally, and socially. Real care is proactive. It is regular home visits. It is mental health support before someone hits rock bottom. It is community programs that give elderly people something to look forward to. It is making sure that a 75-year-old doesn't have to navigate 15 forms of paperwork just to access a basic benefit they've earned through a lifetime of contribution. And it is funding, properly, seriously, consistently funding elder care, not as a charity, but as an obligation. Because a society that invests in its elderly is a society that understands its own future. In many parts of the world, the family is the primary, sometimes the only support system for elderly people. And there is something beautiful about that. The idea that we take care of our own, that love is expressed through presence and service. But here is the truth we don't say out loud enough. Family caregiving is exhausting. It is physically, emotionally, and financially draining in ways that most people outside of it cannot fully understand. Caregiver burnout is real, and when caregivers burn out, the people they care for suffer. We need to stop treating family caregivers as if love alone is enough to sustain them. They need respite care. They need community support. They need someone to check in on them the way they check in on their elderly parents. Because if we don't support the people doing the caring, we ultimately fail the people who need care the most. You don't need a government budget or a nonprofit organization to make a difference. You need presence, attention, and a little bit of intentional time. Communities that care for their elderly look different from ones that don't. They have neighbors who check in on the old man next door. They have local mosques and temples and churches that organize regular visits to senior members who can't come anymore. They have young people who sit with elders, not out of obligation, but out of genuine curiosity about their stories. Start a conversation, organize a small gathering, create a neighborhood check-in system, volunteer at a local senior center, even once a month. Bring a meal, bring yourself. These acts seem small, but to someone who has been invisible for months, they are everything.